George and Martha, the Best of Friends by James Marshall. Two stories about the best of friends. Story number 1, The Attic. One cold and stormy night, George decided to peek into the attic. "Go on up," said Martha. "Oh, no," said George. "There might be a ghost up there, or a skeleton, or a vampire, or maybe even some werewolves." "Oh, goody," said Martha. "Let's investigate." But there wasn't much to see in the attic, only a box of old rubber bands. George was disappointed. "Would you like to hear a story that will give you the goosebumps?" asked Martha. "You bet," said George. "When you hear it, your bones will go cold," said Martha. "Oh," said George. "Your blood will curdle," said Martha. "Oh," said George. "And you'll feel mummy fingers up and down your spine," said Martha. "Stop!" cried George. "I can't take any more. Tell me some other time." That night, Martha went to bed with the light on. She had a bad case of goosebumps. Story number 2, The Surprise. One late summer morning, George had a wicked idea. "I shouldn't," he said. "I really shouldn't." But he just couldn't help himself. "Here comes the rain," he cried. "Egat!" screamed Martha. Martha was thoroughly drenched and as mad as a wet hen. "That did it," she said. "We are no longer on speaking terms." "I was only horsing around," said George. But Martha was unmoved. The next morning, Martha read a funny story. "I can't wait to tell George," she said. Then she remembered that she and George were no longer on speaking terms. Around noon, Martha heard a joke on the radio. "George will love this one," she said. But she and George weren't speaking. In the afternoon, Martha observed the first autumn leaf fall to the ground. "Autumn is George's favorite season," she said. Another leaf came swirling down. "That does it," said Martha. Martha went straight to George's house. "I forgive you," she said. George was delighted to be back on speaking terms. "Good friends just can't stay cross for long," said George. "You can say that again," said Martha, and together they watched the autumn arrive. But when summer rolled around again, Martha was ready and waiting.